You're listening to the Feel Good Astrology podcast with Louisa Munson. To request your personal reading, go to feelgoodastrology.com.
This is an update. It's an amalgamated update. I've recorded it in pieces around working with my children and doing stuff with my husband. You can see this picture of the beach behind me. This is where we went today, by the way. I live in Portugal. And the reason I've got this up is because this is the ocean behind us, and the ocean is very much Pisces energy. And so what inspired me to record these healing messages for you was, Saturn's moving into the sign of Pisces, Pluto is moving into the sign of Aquarius, and we've got Jupiter and Chiron together in the sign of Aries. And all three of them together are creating this upswell of emotion, this upswell of something to heal first, which is the Jupiter and Chiron. For us to express stability in some way from understanding how to work with Saturn, and then how we transform on a much bigger level over a period of months. So for Aries, Saturn in Pisces is going into your 12th house. And so this is actually one of the more difficult ones to work out. It really feels like what's going on over the next couple of years. Obviously you've got your day-to-day going on normally, but actually what's also going on is you're feeling a little bit more drawn inwards. You're less vital than usual. It feels a bit difficult. It feels like you're going into the shadows to think things through. Now, obviously, you're not going to be in the shadows for 2.5 years. It's more of an ongoing trend that you're just less in life and more sort of in the shadows a little bit. You're sort of planning your next step. From 2025, when Saturn goes into the sign of Aries, you'll start to build yourself back up again. So you might choose to look at this as a bit of a challenge, like this is the time for you to replan and to dream big and to start to make plans, start to, scope it out and decide where you want to be. And so in 2025, it feels like you'll be able to build the structure to come back out into the world. So it's quite an internal process, this one for Aries. In terms of Pluto in Aquarius and Aries, Pluto is actually moving through the area of influence and connections with others. So it's an interesting one for you, Aries, because I've just told you about Saturn and how Saturn is quietening you in the background. And then Pluto is making you much stronger, much more forthright in terms of your actual connections. So you might want to watch out for issues of feeling overwhelmed by some of your connections. So for instance, a lot of your connections are feeling a little bit strong. You may well find that some of the friendships that you've got feel like they're overstepping their mark. And in certain respects, it feels like the networks that you've always had that have always felt really quite influential, they're now starting to feel a little bit tight. They're now starting to feel a little bit manipulative. That's not a word I want to choose lightly. Anyone that's got anyone that's got Pluto in 11th house will be able to testify to that feeling of, can you completely trust the connections that you're with? So you will probably have, during this time when Pluto's in the sign of Aquarius, you will have this sense of like knowing really powerful people and knowing people who are movers and shakers and knowing people who know a man who can and all that jazz. And yet there is this feeling that it's slightly out of your control. And so that might be one of the reasons why when Saturn is in your 12th house in the sign of Pisces, that you're finding that you're just taking life a little bit more quietly. You're less gung-ho than you've been in a long time. Like normally your tendency is to go charge straight into your next adventure. And, it just doesn't quite feel like that anymore. It feels like there's there's things to work out that you're not quite sure about. And that's one of the things that I'm sort of talking about in terms of, Pluto being the 11th house. Like wherever Pluto is, it feels like there's a quiet manipulation going on. It's not always that easy to see what's going on. And also, this whole period is starting off, with the conjunction between Chiron and Jupiter in your sign of Aries. And so there is also this feeling of a change in the way your identity is expressed. And maybe it's changing the way you are expressing your identity. I really think this is the start of quite an intense 2 years, really, where the intensity of your focus is likely to shift, that you're going to have some really quite profound healing moments. And in that, you're rebuilding your unconscious mind, like where you realize that there are parts of you that you've not been able to quite capture and articulate. You're realizing where you may have weaknesses and blind spots, and you've now got this period of time to see it and work on it and take action. And also just to be a little bit wary of the people you're in connection with. So what I would probably say, because you don't want to run around life, Aries, thinking I can't trust anyone. That's not a great way to live. So what I probably would do is just have like a red flag system. Maybe decide what for you is a red flag, and then think, okay, if I see one of these behaviors in somebody, then that's something I need to pay attention to. It might be, like if I catch them in a lie, or if I catch them throwing some guilt my way, there will be some red flags that you might want to, think about. If they're throwing some guilt, I'll check them out and say, hey, you're trying to make me feel guilty. But if they do something a bit more than that, you might want to actually put some distance between you and them. So an intense time for you, for sure, Aries. But, I know that you will get through this, and you really are becoming more strong, more resilient, and a lot more formidable as a result. So I hope that's helpful for, the Saturn, Pluto, Chiron, Jupiter update. So there you have it. That was my combined message for you at this time. Like I said, Chiron and Jupiter are giving us the inspiration for healing that's showing up in our lives right now. Saturn's coming in to help us formalize things. And in the areas where we're not happy to formalize them, it's tripping us up a little bit and showing us where we're restricted. So if you are feeling restricted, it's because there's a Saturn thing. You're being asked to take more responsibility on somewhere. And then Pluto is moving into a space to transform us beyond anything that we can even imagine. So, we are talking about deep psyche work going on at the moment. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If there's anything I can do to help, just drop me a line. You can reach me at feelgoodastrology.com. And I will be very happy to help guide you through this process, either on a one-on-one basis, or even in a membership. There's all different ways I can help you, but just stay in contact. And if you found this useful and you think other people find it useful, then please do feel free to share. I really, really appreciate that. Anyway, lots and lots of love to you. Thank you so much for connecting, and hopefully I'll be connected again real soon with you. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Feel Good Astrology podcast with Louisa Munson. To request your personal reading, go to feelgoodastrology.com.